Hey everybody, it's Missy.
It's April.
And this is SheelaNaGig. Hey everybody, it's Missy.
It's April.
And this is SheelaNaGig.
SheelaNaGig.
Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. We always so appreciate it. And of course, each week we present and explore our own SheelaNaGig, a woman whose strength and perseverance has inspired us. Somebody who empowers us, somebody you should know about. It could be somebody in history that you've heard of and we kind of want to retell the story, or
somebody you don't know and should find out about.
Yes. What are we doing, April?
We are shining. Well, no. I messed up again.
We're going to get our motto right one of these days.
And I was so ready, too. I thought I was ready, but I was wrong. We're fighting the fight and shining the light.
That's what we are doing.
That's what we're doing.
So, if you have people to suggest for us, too, that's how we get some of our best Sheilas.
Our best Sheilas have been suggestions from other people, so please keep them coming.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. And if you like us, we would love it if you would, maybe write a comment. Maybe you would subscribe to us. That would be really helpful. Wherever you listen to the podcast, you can comment, and you can subscribe wherever you listen as well. So if you would go ahead and do that, we would be greatly appreciative. Yes,
we would.
April, I have not seen you in a while. You had surgery.
I did. I had cataract surgery on my right eye.
How are you?
Well, the good news is my right eye now sees better than my left eye. The bad news is my left eye is awful and my right eye is working on it. And I can't wear glasses.
That's so weird. I'm so used to seeing you in glasses. I mean, you look beautiful without your glasses.
Gosh,
you pretty eyes.
I feel like I'm squinting and I need eye makeup and I can't wear eye makeup right now either. So, but
I told her I'm going to lend her one of my I have several pairs of glasses that are not really glasses. I mean, obviously I need glasses, but I wear contacts. So sometimes though I want to change my look a little. So I will wear, glasses that are not really glasses. They have glass in them, but there's no prescription. So I told her I'm going to bring out a little selection for her because she feels a little naked without her glasses.
I feel naked. I feel like I need makeup if I'm not wearing glasses and I can't wear my glasses or makeup. So I'll take those for clear glasses.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And how else are you?
Otherwise, I'm great.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just taking my daughter to Palm Springs for a couple of days.
Spring break.
Nice. Yeah, and her bestie from preschool.
Oh, fun.
3 of us are going just for a few days. And it's funny, her bestie from preschool and I have the same birthday.
And
April
it's
2nd.
Coming up.
Yes, Thursday. So
happy birthday.
I'll be with her, and it'll be both of our birthdays. So I said to my daughter, what are you going to do for Evie and I? Since it's both of our birthdays. You serve us breakfast in bed or what,
And I was there when you said that, and she had that panicked look on her face. Like, what am I doing for these two people?
She's 13. I'll let her off the hook, Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to go see Mike's mom, who is like my mom. You've heard me talk about Jan.
Jan Flan?
I think you gals have met Jan before in one of our reels.
Yes.
Yeah, we had her on for a reel, which was really fun. So we're going to go see her for Easter for a few days. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be nice. Yeah, it's going to be really nice. But I'm excited, April. What you got today? What you got for me today? What you got?
Okay. Well, I'm going to take you the scenic route.
Oh, and I love the scenic route. You don't usually like the scenic route, but I do.
I know, but we're going to go take the scenic route, and we're going to start in the 1920s.
Okay.
When the Russian physicist Leon Theremin debuted an electric instrument that could be played without human hands.
Oh my gosh. When you said her last name, Theremin, I thought, oh, wow, I wonder if it has anything to do with I love theremins. I love them. I've used them in recordings. I love theremins. This is so exciting.
Well, one thing is Leon was a man. But you have the right instrument, and I'm so excited you're prepping for
this really is a scenic route then.
Yes.
You're not even starting with a woman, you're starting with a man.
Yeah, we're going to take the scenic route and start with the dude.
Okay. Although I'm a little disappointed that a man invented it and not a woman.
Just hang in.
But you know what? Support bro.
Yeah. Stick pins in it.
Oh, April's favorite. We're going to stick some pins in it.
Pins and stuff, right?
Okay, brilliant.
So players stood in front of a box and they waved their hands over the antennas to create what was described as otherworldly sounds.
You know those sounds well?
The theremin might have been a passing novelty if not for our first Sheela, Clara Rockmore.
Clara Rockmore. Okay.
Yes. Ever hear of her?
No.
That's my point.
Okay.
She was a virtuoso who helped to refine the instrument's design, and she also performed with it, and thrilled classic concert hall audiences with her innovative performances.
Wow. I've got to see if there's some recordings of her out there. Are there?
Oh, yes.
I'm sure there are.
Yes.
1920s, you said. So there's got to be recording. Oh, my gosh. Got to check that out.
But Clara Rockmore is one of many, and I mean many, in a long line of women who have changed the shape and sound of modern music. And that's really the electronic music.
Interesting.
Often invisibly, says filmmaker Lisa Rovner. I think when most people think of electronic music, they're picturing men pushing buttons and knobs and boundaries. Mm-hmm. But Rovner's 2020 documentary, Sisters with Transistors, corrects this record.
Oh my gosh, Sisters with Transistors? Mm-hmm. Wait, I think I need to write that down right now because otherwise I'm going to forget.
I'll give it to you.
Sisters with, I'm reading it.
Sisters with Transistors was narrated by Laurie Anderson, and the film.
I love Laurie Anderson.
This is going to get better and better then.
Oh my gosh. I saw her in concert once.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the film celebrates the achievement of early female pioneers in nothing other than electronic music.
Of course.
Like and I have to say that in a lot of ways you inspired this Sheela piece, this episode, because you noted that we haven't covered a lot of female musicians.
We haven't. And me being a musician,
I know.
I'm like, wait, what the heck? I got to get this going here.
And it didn't even occur to me that you would know or be interested in the theremin.
Love the theremin. Love it.
Okay, well, we're going to hear a little bit more about it. But as I was saying, history tends to highlight men in the development of things like synthesizers and computerized music. But electronic music was actually profoundly shaped by women who weren't just participants in using these instruments. They have been the genre's inventors. They've been composers and theorists.
I had no idea. This is fascinating. I wonder if Mike knows. I wonder if my husband, he's such a virtuoso of music and history. And I wonder what he knows.
Trivia and stuff like that, he might. But I have to say that in my little dive for this episode, no single article that I explored fully captured the breadth and diversity of all of the women who've really impacted this innovation across decades.
Wow.
And while women's innovation in electronic music is staggering, the credit is, not too surprisingly, really lacking the acknowledgement.
Yeah, not surprising, unfortunately, which is why we have this podcast.
Right, exactly. So it plays right into what we're doing, Missy.
It sure does.
Clara Rockmore was quoted as saying, "Electronics lets us being women, make music that could be heard by others without having to be taken seriously by the male-dominated establishment." And I think that's why there were so many women contributing to the innovations of electronic music. Because they felt they had the freedom to go there without, being anointed by the gatekeepers.
Yeah. Wow.
A recent Annenberg Inclusion Initiative report on the recording industry provides some really disappointing but not too surprising metrics. The report explores the gender and ethnicity of each artist, songwriter, and producer credited on songs on the Billboard Hot 100 year-end chart from 2012 to 2014.
Okay.
So we've got some data here.
Yeah.
While the percentage of women on the chart in 2024 was a lot higher than in 2022, it was 37.7% as opposed to in 2022, 30.2%.
Okay.
And 2012 was only 22.7%. Men still accounted for 62.3% of the 130 performers on that chart.
Wow.
The numbers are particularly notable, spanning songwriting and producing. Of the 461 songwriters credited in 2024, 80.9% were men, 18.9% were women, and only 0.2% were non-binary.
Okay.
Of the 237 producers credited across most popular songs of the year, 94.1% were men. And only 5.9%.
I don't really believe that data though either.
You think it's overstated?
Well, as we know, so many women do not get the credit they deserve.
Well, that's
and it's often, usurped by men. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I that's why I say I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's probably still more men than women, but I don't know how reliable the actual data is because of that.
Well, this was specific to these charts.
Yeah.
And so I think they were really looking at a quantifiable number, a number they can calculate and do the math on. And so I think these actually are reliable statistics, but I think your point is well taken.
Yeah.
That when you look at the breadth of how many women have really influenced music and have created important contributions, I think it is definitely understated.
Yeah, understated for sure.
Lack of representation is even more alarming when we add women of color.
Of
the 237 producers that were identified on these charts, only 2 women of color were named.
Oh, come on.
And these figures are particularly concerning since representation has actually declined for women of color since 2022.
And I would think the number of women of color artists has increased.
You would think, yeah.
I think that.
Well, maybe.
But they're talking more about production here and stuff, right? They're not
We're talking about producers,
the artists themselves.
Exactly. The performers, are a little bit more.
I'm curious. I wonder what the performers. I do feel, and I'm very, very happy for. I do feel there's a lot more women of color in music right now,
but
performing.
not being recognized for producing and composing.
Exactly. And they very well may be doing all 3 and only getting credit for the performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
13 out of 50 female producers, or only 26%, were women of color. And looking at the broader time frame from 2012 to 2024, of the 78 women credited as producers, 73.1% were white, and only 26.9% were women of color. So if we focus only or singularly on electronic music, the numbers really don't tell a different story. In DJ Mag's 2025 Top 100 DJ lists, only about 15% of the entries were women, illustrating just how far gender imbalances remain. But it's important to note that electronic music does not lack talented women. What it does lack, as we know and have been discussing, is the recognition for their work.
Yes, precisely. And that's exactly what I was getting at before. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. From early experimentation with tape and synthesis to contemporary club culture and global festival stages, women's contributions are foundational to the genre's evolution. So today, Missy, I want to share some of these trailblazing Sheelas.
I love that.
And some of their accomplishments.
Oh, this is great. I love this, April. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're excited.
Bring it. Yeah.
So I already mentioned Clara Rockmore, who was born in 1911 and died in 1998. And she was a classically trained Lithuanian virtuoso theremin player, which, as I noted early, was one of the very first electronic instruments to be known and to be used. And early in her childhood, Clara was recognized actually as a violin prodigy. At the age of 4, she became the youngest ever student at the St. Petersburg Conservatory, where she studied under the prominent violinist Leopold Auer. After the October Revolution, her family moved around quite a bit and eventually obtained visas and left for the United States in 1921. Sadly, as a teenager, Clara contracted tendinitis, and it affected her bow arm. So she had to give up playing the violin.
So this makes sense.
Yeah.
This is making sense. Okay.
Yep. As a result, Clara, after meeting fellow immigrant Leon Theremin, and being introduced to his odd electronic instrument, the theremin, she became its most prominent player.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Which again makes total sense, and she had the tendinitis and couldn't use her hands in that way. But of course, the theremin, you play with your hands kind of above it.
Yes, you don't actually touch anything. Exactly. So in addition to mastering the instrument, she participated, note this, in its design.
Oh, wow.
Helping Leon fine-tune earlier models, which improved both its range and precision. And in terms of promoting the use of this instrument, audiences around the world were amazed by the seemingly impossible instrument, which is played without, as you were saying, any physical contact. Mm-hmm. So Clara performed as a soloist with major orchestras, including the Philadelphia Orchestra and the New York Philharmonic. Mm. And she also performed at the Louis Stadium in New York. So she was one of the first artists to bring electronic music to the prestige of these venues as early as in the 1930s.
That's amazing. I've seen a lot of orchestras. I haven't even thought about theremin being an orchestral instrument. But
yeah.
I mean,
this was well before the age of rock and roll.
Oh, right. And I mean, it's such an ethereal instrument. I just never thought of it being part of an orchestra. And I wonder how often we see that now, or if we see that now. I'm really interested in this.
That's something to really explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clara is quoted as saying, "I had to make and then meet my own standards. I had to win the public over into thinking of the theremin as a real artistic medium." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was a little bit about Clara. And now I want to introduce you to Johanna Magdalena Bayer. And she was a composer and pianist who was born in Leipzig, Germany in 1888. She spent most of her professional life in the United States, and she was widely recognized for her pianism. Am I saying that right, Miss musician?
Pianism? Wait.
Pianism.
I don't know that word. I've never heard pianism. That's very strange.
I got it right off the internet. It must be true.
It must be true. Let's go with that, April.
Pianism and her musicianship. Anyway, while she was recognized for her playing the piano and for her music capabilities, she was really overlooked as a composer. As we were saying earlier, that women were more recognized as performers than they were
exactly.
as
Which
producers
they still are,
and composers.
I would say.
Right. Mm-hmm. So in 1938, she composed Music of the Sphere, which is considered one of the earliest scores written entirely for electronic instruments by a woman.
I'm writing it down. Hang on. Music of the Sphere.
Music of the Sphere.
I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to watch. Yeah. I'm gonna watch and listen to all this stuff. This is amazing. Okay.
So Johanna suffered from really abject poverty, and she had to work as a piano teacher to just survive. And between her gender, her status as an immigrant, and most of all, the uniqueness and singularity of her music and the absence of advocacy from even her closest musical friends, she was left largely unknown throughout her lifetime.
So sad.
The first concert entirely dedicated to her music, actually, ready for this? Didn't take place until 1988, more than 40 years after her death.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
So she wasn't playing concerts?
No, she had composed this piece, and, well, you'll hear about what happened to the piece, but no.
Oh, that is
and she had
terrible.
no support, including her musician colleagues. Nobody wanted to promote her or give her a break.
Was she recording?
That I'm not. Yeah, she must have been recording because we have records of her. After her death in 1944, her music was stored for many years in the archives of the American Music Center in New York before being transferred to the New York Public Library, where it remains today. In the 1970s, interest in her music returned really in earnest. And since that time, changes in musical tastes and the advocacy of composers and scholars such as Larry Polanski, Amy C. Beale, and Melissa J. DeGraff have allowed the unique music of this singular composer to be more readily understood and appreciated. So they kind of unearthed her.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So it was a little heartening, and at least her work was maintained and secured, and
which
ultimately found
which is
light of
really
day.
really great, because if it's an older recording, it's hard to maintain those, So good for them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So next, BBC Radiographic Workshop co-founder, British composer and inventor Daphne Oram, invented what's called Oramics.
Oramics?
Oramics.
Gosh, and I've never heard of Oramics. I'm a musician. I've never heard of Oramics.
Well, there is a reason why, but let me share a
How do you
little
spell
bit
it, by
more
the way?
about Daphne. Oramics.
Okay.
And Daphne, by the way, was born in 1925 to give some context, and she died in 2003.
Okay.
This machine created electronic sound by drawing on tape. Daphne began working at the BBC as a sound engineer when she was 18. A founding member of the BBC's Radiophonic Workshop, which became one of the seminal environments for innovation and sonic exploration. She was one of the earliest British composers to produce electronic sounds and compose music from field recordings.
Wow.
Yeah. So while this method of composition was groundbreaking, it was also extremely difficult to achieve. It involved a lengthy process of tape splicing. In the mid-1950s, Daphne began to experiment with designs for a visual interface for composing called this Oramics machine, which she named after herself.
Very cool.
She developed technology that scanned and read hand-drawn waveforms and sequences to determine musical pitch and dynamics. And while you haven't heard of this machine because while this invention was never commercially released, it was viewed as the forerunner to, is it MIDI? M-I-D-I? Yeah. MIDI and the digital auto workstation.
Wow.
So she really laid that groundwork.
That's fascinating.
Daphne Oram's uncredited scoring work in the 1961 film The Innocents helped to pioneer the electronic soundtrack. She was the first woman to independently direct and set up a personal electronic music studio, and the first woman to design and construct an electronic musical instrument. In her book, An Individual Note of Music, Sound, and Electronics in 1971, she explored philosophical themes related to acoustics and electronic composition. So she was pretty significant in the development of electronic music.
A pioneer.
Yeah, yep, definitely a pioneer.
Wow.
All of these women.
All pioneers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What? This is so interesting, April. I'm loving this.
I'm so glad. So in 1960, British composer and mathematician Delia Derbyshire also joined the BBC. She arrived as a trainee studio manager, and although she excelled in this role, she was asked to transfer to the then fledgling Radiophonic Workshop. And this unit was tasked with creating sound effects and incidental music for radio and television. So Delia was the first person with higher music qualifications to work in the Radiophonic Workshop during what actually ended up becoming its golden age. Her most notable achievement was the 1963 electronic realization of the score written by Australian composer Ron Grainer for none other than Doctor Who.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
We all know who that is.
Yes. Her electronic arrangement was one of the first entirely electronic pieces of music to appear on television. And as we all know, it became a cult icon.
Yes.
Through her work with Doctor Who, Delia brought the early electronic techniques of music concrete, which is music constructed by mixing recorded sounds and tape manipulation and bringing that to the masses.
Wow.
She famously made music with a green lampshade, founded sonic inspiration from the air raid sirens that she heard as a child during the bombings of her hometown.
Oh my God.
In Coventry, England. And some of her early experiments in the 1960s were widely seen as having the same musical characteristics as what came to be described as techno 20 years later.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating.
Isn't that?
Yeah, that is very fascinating. Wow.
I'm so glad you're enjoying this.
I'm going all over the place in my brain. This is just really interesting Because now we're talking about digital music. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's great.
So variations of Delia's work on Doctor Who remained as the theme basis throughout the 1960s and 70s before it was fully reworked in the 80s. Wouldn't you know, Delia Derbyshire was not credited on screen as co-producer until the series' 50th anniversary of Doctor Who in 2013.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, long after she passed away in 2001.
That's the saddest thing. She never got to embrace that. She never got to feel that pride and see her name. And what the fuck? I hate that shit.
But you know what? In her lifetime, she went on to compose music for hundreds of radio and television productions, and she did earn a reputation for achieving the quote-unquote impossible. Though at the time, she was also told by the workshop that her music was sometimes too sophisticated for BBC audiences. She went on to explore other media and collaborations in theater and film, as well as musical encounters with such artists as Paul McCartney, George Martin, Pink Floyd, Brian Jones, Anthony Newley, and Harry Nilsson.
Wow.
It's said that her infectious enthusiasm and ingenious creativity have influenced the mind of many generations of artists, from the Chemical Brothers, Aphex Twins, and the Beatles, to artists like One Thrix Point Never and Bjork. Bjork. You know Bjork. Of course I know Bjork. I can't say Bjork, but I know the music.
And Aphex Twins.
So American composer and sound designer Suzanne Ciani, who was born in 1946, and she's still alive today, is another key figure in the electronic music of the last few decades. A 5-time Grammy nominee and electronic music pioneer, she graduated from Berkeley and found a job with Buckler and Associates, one of the most influential synthesized creators. Her goal was to earn enough money for a Buckler synthesizer of her own, the Buckler 200. In her own words, "I sat and soldered joints and drilled holes for $3 an hour. When the synthesizers were finished, tested, and shipped off, I felt as though I were losing children."
Oh my God. That's amazing.
While in graduate school, Suzanne was entranced by the idea of making music on machines. She devoted herself to the Buckler synthesizers for the next 2 decades and pioneered live electronic performances in quadraphonic sound. Her ongoing extensive career as an independent artist started with scoring TV commercials and film. She crafted iconic sounds for some of America's largest brands' TV jingles throughout the 70s and 80s.
Wow. Okay.
So the sound effect for the Coca-Cola bottle pouring, that pouring sound, is one of her most recognized
that's so funny.
achievements.
Wow. Wow. So she's a little bit more contemporary.
Yes, she is more contemporary. In 1982, she brought her electronic music, dominated by the Buckler, to the stage. She released 20-plus solo albums and, as already noted, was nominated for a Grammy Award for the Best New Age Album 5 separate times.
Dang. Wow. And yet, we've never
heard of her.
Damn.
We all know the sound of Pepsi or Coca-Cola pouring.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah.
B.B. Barron, who was born in 1925 and passed away in 2008, composed with her husband Louis the first fully electronic film score for Forbidden Planet in 1956.
I know of that film. Wow.
Yeah?
Forbidden Planet. Oh my gosh.
They utilized custom-built circuits to do that.
Yeah.
Her work in partnership with her husband is considered a contender for one of the first idiosyncratic tape music movements. When the couple married in 1947, they received one of the earliest tape recorders as a wedding gift.
Oh, what a freaking awesome wedding gift.
Right?
Yes, please. Mike and I didn't get one of those.
You didn't.
Maybe we didn't do our vows or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Get the right gifts. Anyway, this tape recorder used magnetized plastic tape, and the couple began using it to create electronic compositions. Lewis designed ring modular circuits to generate the sound, and Beebe assembled these sounds into compositions. They began composing scores for short experimental films, and then they convinced producer Dori Skahari to let them handle the sound effects for Forbidden Planet, which evolved into the full score.
So cool. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to have to.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is really what makes that movie.
Well, here's the backstory about that.
Wow.
The couple went on to compose the first electronic music for magnetic tape in the United States, titled Heavenly Menagerie. And after moving to New York, they founded one of the first electronic acoustic studios in Greenwich Village in 1949, where they recorded many artists that included Tennessee Williams and John Cage.
How cool is that?
When they created the world's first electric film score for Forbidden Planet, made entirely from bleeps, burps, whirs, whines, throbs, hums, and screeches, it was generated by their do-it-yourself electronic circuits.
It's so rad. Damn, I love that.
They pioneered layering manipulated sounds from several different tape machines. This technique is actually fundamental to the multi-tracking practices that are found in modern studios.
It's so cool. And this is before digital music. This is all analog, which is fascinating to me. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. These were really the forerunners, and the discovery of how many women were really involved in its innovation and proliferation. Yeah.
And again, this is, all analog. This is not, digital music.
Yeah.
Wow.
So next we have composer, accordionist, and humanitarian Pauline Avuleros. Pauline Avuleros. She began exploring tape and electronic music techniques in the late 1950s, and she was considered one of the key early figures in the development of electronic and post-war experimental music. In the 1960s, she was a founding member and the first director of the San Francisco Tape Music Center. This is a nonprofit organization that was founded by a group of local composers in 1962 who came together to explore tape-based electronic music. And the center served as a vital resource for electronic music on the West Coast and became the center. The center served both as a studio and as a live performance venue.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Would you have loved to go there to the live performance venue there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Pauline's compositions introduced meditative and ritualistic practices. She actually pioneered the practice of deep listening, a term coined in 1988 that explores the voluntary selective nature of listening and encourages artists to respond attentively to environmental and musical context. Pauline explored deep and existential ideas. She pursued themes of gender inequity with tenacity, and she led progress for women composers. An essay that she wrote for the New York Times in the 1970s started with the provocative question, why have there been no, quote, great, unquote, women composers? She worked, as she says, to create an atmosphere of opening for all to be heard with the understanding that listening is healing. This idea of listening as healing is the core tenet of her musical philosophy.
Wow.
Pauline often improvised with the expanded instrument system, an electronic signal processing system that she herself designed for use in her performances and in her recordings.
Oh, I love that. Wow, so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the contributions, and for every woman that I'm going to talk about today, there are probably an equal number of women I never got to.
Oh, at least. Yeah. I mean, no, at least, because you're only talking about a handful, you know?
How many could we cover at any given time?
Yeah.
Wendy Carlos, who was born in 1939 and still is one of the most important living composers in the history of electronic music. Are you familiar with Wendy Carlos?
I'm not. I wish I could say yes, but I would be lying.
Yeah, well, this is why we're doing this, right?
I have to admit, I'm not, I like electronic music, and I've certainly listened to a lot of it, but I'm not super familiar with the genre, especially currently. Yeah.
Yeah. Me either. I just found this whole thing fascinating, went down the rabbit hole, and hope that you, as a musician, would
it's sad because
enjoy it.
when I think of the earliest, electronic music, I think of Kraftwerk. Of course, I think most people our age probably think of Kraftwerk. I have to always say it with the German accent. It's so funny when my son was little. We used to have him listen to Kraftwerk, and we taught him how to say Kraftwerk. And he was 3 years old, and he'd say, "Mom and Dad, can we listen to Kraftwerk?"
I love it. That's right. Anyway, back to Wendy Carlos. After graduating twice from Brown University, studying both music and physics, she went on to study music composition at Princeton before becoming a Master of Music at Columbia University. So she was well studied. While at Columbia, Wendy met Robert Moog and developed a career. And by the way, Robert Moog doesn't care how you pronounce his last name. It could be Moog, it could be Maud. Moog.
You always hear, yeah, that's very funny that you say that because that's always a contention. Is it Moog or is it Moog?
Apparently he doesn't care.
I'm so happy to hear that because I cannot tell you how many times I've had this conversation with people.
So how should we say his name today?
However you want, if he doesn't care.
All right. Well, when Wendy met Robert Moog, they developed a career-defining partnership with the creator of the first commercial modular synthesizer. Wendy provided both musical and technical advice to Moog while he developed the instrument that would revolutionize music in the 1960s.
Wow.
The Moog synthesizer quickly became part of the pop revolution, spawning new genres of progressive electronic music. In my entire lifetime, I'd only seen a very few people who took so naturally to an instrument as she being Wendy Carlos, did to the synthesizer, Moog told People magazine. It was just a God-given gift. Moog credited Wendy Carlos with originating many features of the synthesizer that made it into the final production.
Damn, I had no idea. And I think any musician knows what a Moog or a Moog
or a Moog.
Or a Moog. So that's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, some of these features included the touch-sensitive keyboard, a portamento control, a mixed filter bank, and a 49 oscillator polyphonic generator bank.
Wow.
That could create chords and arpeggios. Am I saying that correctly?
I'm not sure.
Arpeggios.
I was just thinking this is all above my head for sure.
Definitely.
As much as I appreciate the Moog or Moog, that is all above my head.
So if I'm poorly enunciating, which I'm more than certain I am, you have every right to say, girl, do your homework.
It's a good reason to make a comment.
Yeah, right. Will you two learn how to talk right? In 1968, in collaboration with producer Rachel Elkind, Wendy took one of the Moog synthesizers, an instrument that was then unknown, and they electronically reproduced the 6 Brandenburg concertos by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Wow.
They titled it Switched on Bach.
That's good.
And this record hit platinum, which propelled the Moog synthesizer into the mainstream and did earn Wendy Carlos 3 Grammy Awards, making her the first trans woman ever to win at this prestigious award ceremony.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I don't think you said she was transgender before.
No, I didn't.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Wow, good for her. That's fantastic. What year was that? Do you know?
You know, that was in 68.
Okay. The year I was born.
Wendy Carlos went on to compose the scores for Stanley Kubrick's iconic 1971 film A Clockwork Orange. And featured scores on his 1980 classic The Shining and the score for Disney's 1982 infamous science fiction action adventure Tron.
Wow, Tron. Yep.
All right. One more, Sheela, that I want to share today.
Please. I wish it would never stop. Are you kidding? I love these.
Juilliard-trained composer Laurie Spiegel described electronic music technology as revolutionary. The way composing was previously done, she noted, was you wrote on a piece of paper with a pencil and set of instructions for someone else to make music. Free to realize her own creative vision, Lori programmed computer-based music generation systems while working as a researcher at Bell Labs in 1970. She fashioned entirely new sounds and variations within sounds themselves and shared her music directly with audiences.
Wow, cool.
In 1977, her work caught NASA's attention, and her musical interpretation of Johannes Kepler's Harmonics Mundi was included in the Voyager Golden Records, which was launched into space to represent all of humankind.
Voyager Golden Records. I got to write that down too.
Lori is quick to point out that she too often is seen as an anomaly. She recalled being part of an active community of women affiliated with university-based and nonprofit electronic music studios in and around New York City. Some of those studios, including Harvestworks, still exist today.
Cool.
For many years, these women and so many others work to continue in relative anonymity, often uncredited or hidden behind the names of large institutions like the BBC.
Or men.
Yes.
And or men.
Their stories have been revitalized in recent years by researchers and, as I mentioned earlier, the 2020 documentary Sisters of Transistors.
Can't wait to watch that.
Which frames their work as a form of liberation from the traditional male-dominated structures of the classical music world.
Wow. April, this was I am just blown away. This is such an amazing episode. Kudos to you.
I have to say, it was so fun discovering these women and getting to share them with you.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many more out there.
Oh, yes.
So this would be a great opportunity, listeners, to send some our way. We would love that. We would love that. Please do. And again, we would love your comments. We would love your questions. We would love any Sheelas, composers or otherwise that you would like to share with us. And we would love it if you would give us a nice review. Give us a 5-star review. Those really, really help us. And please subscribe as well and follow us. And we're always posting on Instagram.
And you could join our mailing list at SheelaNaGigPodcast.com.
Oh, excellent. Or if you can reach out to us there too.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in the comment section. Whatever works for you. But thank you for listening, everybody. Until next time, we will be back with more exciting Sheelas for you. All right. Bye.